Hello everyone, welcome along to another video. John here, and today I thought I'd show you a bit of an acoustic blues and how to put three parts together. So we're going to start with a little kind of shuffle rhythm, kind of Stevie Ray Vaughan inspired. Then we're going to add some chords, some smaller chords on the top, and then that last thing we're going to do is add that little blues solo, which I just played there, you know, over the top. So we're going to learn the three parts. So for this video I'm going to show you the kind of rhythm and how you can kind of learn that basically, because there's a lot going on there. So here's the first bit. What you're playing is this. Alright, so what's happening there is, of course, you're keeping that rhythm going whilst you're playing the bass. So first of all, let me show you the bass. It's just this open E, 4 on the low E, 7 twice on the low E, and then 4 on the A. So you got this. Alright, and you do that 4 times. Okay, so I'm going to show you the bass first. No funny business with the rhythm. All right, it's too early for funny business yet. So there we go. Do that 4 times. Last one. There we go. Easy. You could play it like that, actually. Then we're going to move on to the A chord. All right, and we're going to do this. Is 5 on the A, again twice, and then 9 on the E. Sorry, that's 5 on the A, on the low E. The note is an A. All right, you can slide to that note if you like. Then 7 on the A, again twice, and then 9 on the A. So if I put that together. Right, so that's the E part, the E chord, which is that. That's the E chord and then the A chord. All right, and now there's one last chord to go, which is the B chord, and this is the cool one. All right, so this is 7, this note is a B, 7 on the low E. Do everything twice. 7, 9, 10, 9, 7, 5, 4, 2. All right, so we've got that. Now at the end of this, I'll show you what I do at the end when we get the rhythm down. So let me play this whole thing for you, just the basic things, you know, without the funny business. So we have this. 2, 3, 4. There we go. So now, if you're a beginner to, you know, to the guitar, you could just play that. That sounds good, you know. But what we want to try and do is put a bit of, you know, kind of life into it, really. And what we're going to start to do, if you can get used to this, if you hold the guitar neck, so this hand is muting the strings. See if you can do this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and so you're down, up, down, up. Now what you want to do is keep this hand quite loose and always do that. If you go out of sync with your rhythm, it's normally because we're doing, you know, 2 downstrokes or 2 upstrokes. So if you can get used to that, it will be good. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little chord. Now, if you play a C chord here, and then you add your little finger to the 3rd fret of the G, that's a C7 chord. But if you move that shape up, that C shape with that little finger, to the 7th fret, you end up with an E7. And it sounds like that. That's quite a nice sound. Now, take off your 1st finger. So you've just got that low bit of the chord there. So instead of doing this, we're going to replace that in the bass line with... All right, now we're starting to add up and down strokes, but, you know, with the all of the strings, not just like we were doing before, all right? Okay, so if I play this kind of like this. Now, doesn't that sound a bit messy, doesn't it? But that's what we're trying to do, but we want this. Now, here's where it gets slightly tricky, and I don't know if you can see this, but here's the 1st chord. So down, up, all right? And then we go to this 4th fret here on the low E. But when we go up, this underside of my 1st finger here is muting those strings, so you end up with, I'll try and do this slow. And then every time you hit a note, the note you want is ringing, but the underside of your finger, the first time it was my 1st finger, 2nd time it was my little finger, now my little finger is muting that, so we have this. That one on the 4th fret of the A there is the hardest one to get, because you don't want this, you don't want to hit that open E, so you've got to just push that little finger up to block that. That one is ringing, and then the rest of the finger is blocking it. So this takes a bit of time. This took me some time, because it's going to be terrible at first. It's going to sound like this. It's going to sound like that, and it will sound like that. But what you're trying to do is make the blues sound a bit more groovy, you know, instead of here's the entry level, you know, that we all start with. And there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. Now, if I change that to this other one, it kind of sounds a bit more groovy. When you get used to doing that, it's very hard to go back, you know, to the other way. I find when I play that, it feels to me like, oh, there's something lacking there. But anyway, that's that. All right, so now after you've finished that little bass line, once you got that, you can add that into it, which is nothing at all, just open strings. So let me show you what I mean. Can you see I'm playing open up and then down if I do that slow? And that's the E. Take your time with that. All right, so now we move on to the A. The bass line is the same, but instead of hitting that note twice, we're going to play the A7 chord, which is on the 5th fret. Like that. All right. Now you're going to need to release that chord when you go up here. I do that with my little finger. So after you've played the A7, which is a bar down the 5th fret, and 6th fret on the G, 7 on the A, you're doing that same technique again where you're playing the note, but you're muting with that hand. These notes on the A string are a nightmare, because you've got to kind of mute that E too. So you end up with this. Did you see I did that open string business as well? Okay, there we go. So that's the A. Now the B, you're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to move that A7 shape up. So instead of the B, you're going to play the first 2 as a chord. I'm doing that all the time, keeping that moving. Let me play that B part again for you. And at the end, what I do is just I play an E chord, and 3 and 4, and then a B7 chord. All right. So you can finish it there. So that's the rhythm. I'll play it through for you on its own. I know I played it at the beginning, but I'm gonna. That was with the overdub. So let me play it all the way through for you with this groove. I'll try and go a bit slower for you so you can really see what's going on. All right. So here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There we go. So that was it all the way through. All right, now, just before we move on to the solo section, I'm just going to show you the other chords I was playing over the top. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play some 9 chords. So if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to start with an E9, 7 on the A, 6 on the D, and this finger, this third finger is barring 7th fret, G, B, and E. So you end up with that. Maybe a bit funny, this chord, if you're not used to it. But what I'm doing is to kind of stay away from the bass notes, because if I play that, it's going to interfere with the bass notes. It's going to sound a little muddy. So I'm just going to play the top part of the chord. So if I'm just taking that finger away, you could keep it on if you want, but just play the top thing. So I'm going that kind of rhythm. It's up to you what you do though. So that's an E9 chord. When I move to the A chord, you know, this A7 chord, I'm going to move that shape up to the 12th fret, and I'm going to do the same thing. All right, back to the E. So you're kind of following the chords around, you know, when you play an E there, you're playing that. When you do an A, you're doing that. Gives a bit of life to it. When you go to the B, you're going to go all the way down here to the 2nd fret. The notes I'm thinking about here is E, A, and B. So it's the same shape to the B, all right? And the rhythm is up to you, but you could do into the A. Back to the E, then to the B, back to the E. There we go. So that's all of the rhythm parts to this little piece, all right? So in the next video, we're going to have a look at the acoustic blues soloing, and I've deliberately stayed out of playing in a pentatonics box for this video. I've changed things up a bit to make it sound a bit more interesting, using all areas of the neck, so it's not your straight, you know, pentatonic business. All right, so have fun with that. Leave any comments for me. If you've got any questions, let me know. If you can subscribe, that's great, because it keeps me in supply of chocolate biscuits, which is very, very good indeed. Okay, see you in the next video. Have some fun with that.